Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Isa Abu Isa.
This is Nafis Abu Zayd.
And this is another episode of The Night Shift that me and his brother Abu Zayd, we came up with or created to fight against coke characteristics and different types of innovations and social ills in our community.
Alhamdulillah. This here will be a Q&A, questions that was posed from the audience to the host of the infamous Night Shift. Alhamdulillah. And these questions were put together to ask me and my co-hosts about the Night Shift and certain different things. So inshallah ta'ala, we wanted to share it with you all because, like I said, it's questions that was posed from the actual audience. The first question that was posed to us by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala was, what was the inspiration behind the Night Shift? So some of the people want to know, what was the inspiration behind the infamous Night Shift?
To be honest, when I first started coming down to the masjid, and our brother, he had the store, and I would come down and actually we would listen to Sheikh Uyuni. We listened to Arabic classes. I think it was Ejrul Mia. And obviously we knew what was going on in our communities. We have tasted some of the brunt of these coke characteristics and some of these issues that the Night Shift had kind of evolved around. And but we also seen the social ills and the destruction of the African American community too. We saw that happening. And so our brother came up with a nice idea to do something based on the Philadelphia Negro, a book by W. Du Bois. And alhamdulillah, we both were able to read the book and benefit from the book. So we came up with an idea about the Philadelphia Negro to deal with some of the social ills going on in Philadelphia and the black community at large, but specifically Philadelphia. So we started there. And we started, we did it like a little, it was a WhatsApp app. We had set up a group for it. We had did some like little talks on basics, some social things going on in the community and things like that. And we were kind of moving along with it. We didn't have the expertise to deal with the sociology of the issue. So we were trying to get people to help us deal with that and things of that nature. But we have found a book, and I'll let him take it from here. We have found a book from our brother Abu Aliyah, called Coke Characteristics Amongst the Salafis of the West. And we started reading that in the morning. So maybe you can take it from there and tell me how we developed it from that point on.
Yeah, so some of the things that inspire us, as the brother just said, one of the things was definitely the book that was put together or composed, the article that was composed by our brother Abu Ali, The White Battle, which was known as Coke Characteristics, as well as the concept of trying to, combat some of the characteristics that we were seeing in some of the separatism and some of the and some of the the accusations and the alienations of different brothers from us. And we seen people inspired us. Okay, we had something together. We did call it with some of those issues. And we were talking about certain things, and we seen that we had a good chemistry, as the audience noticed amongst ourselves, me and my co-hosts, in tackling these issues. And we wasn't the most brightest or the most knowledgeable or even the most qualified or equipped to actually tackle these issues. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed it in us to have the bravery and the heart and the passion to be able to deal with some of these things. So that was what inspired us. No doubt, W.D. Du Bois, the Philadelphia Negro, was one of the things that inspired us behind the Night Shift.
Exactly.
And we used to have a tune. Well, I have a tune in my head that, the Night Shift, on the Night Shift.
Oh, the Commodores.
Yeah, the Commodores. That tune will always be in my head. So Isa Abu Isa, when Mufti came down and did an interview with us, Isa just was right there. He was just like, it's the night. Welcome to the Night Shift. So, Mufti was like, it's called the Night Shift. It took a good read by the permission of Allah. So that was what inspired us. Some of the things that inspired us by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala about the Night Shift. And also, last thing, there was nobody really. There were people, alhamdulillah, in the past and even current that were writing things, articles, and posting things on Twitter and social media that was combating this stuff. However, their voice didn't get out there so much. There was no one doing it on a social platform in the way that the Night Shift did it, where we addressed it openly and we involved the community into it. So yes, there's some good pros and there's some cons for doing that.
Exactly. And at first we didn't want to really mention names because, like I said, we had did videos before. There was one video we did. I think that was our first one addressing it. Was called "Difference Between Calling to Yourself and Calling to Allah." I think we did.
Yeah, we did one of those.
And we didn't really mention any names. And a lot of times we did the code characteristics when we first started doing that. We didn't say any names, but certain things started happening that caused us to really try to reinvent the whole idea of it. Because I think that it was a brother said he would take a bullet. Somebody that really pushed us over the edge. A brother said he would take a bullet for Hassan
when we
Somali.
saw some of the extreme stances that some of our brothers would take in regard to different students or different callers to the da'wah, we had seen that we have to, tackle this problem. Like, enough is enough. Alhamdulillah. So we put we was in Gotham at that time, as you know, not like we are right now in Atlanta.
We was in Gotham.
We was in Gotham, so we had to put our Batman suits on. I know people are grinding up for that, Marvel Combo and the shirk and everything like that. That's not what we're saying, so I hope you caught what I was trying to say. Well, we put on our capes, for lack of better words.
Yeah, we put on our capes.
Inshallah. Tayyip, the second question that the audience put to us was, were you involved in da'wah before? I'll let our brother Abu Isa answer that question.
No. To be honest with you, to be all honesty, when I got back to the States, it wasn't because I chose to. That's number one. Number two, I wanted to be under the radar, so I didn't really come back to kind of necessarily being organized da'wah. Obviously, we all have to give da'wah on some level, out about in the streets, wherever we may go. People may ask about Islam, or, you may be having a conversation with somebody. So obviously, I was involved in da'wah on that level, a personal level, between me and other people. But I wasn't any organized da'wah, and I wasn't really thinking about doing it neither. But when you get around Abu Zayd, you kind of like, you get caught up in a tornado of da'wah. You know what I mean? So, no, I was not involved in da'wah before the night shift as far as being organized and out in the open like that. So when I got to the Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah, I think it was still Masjid Toba at the time?
Yeah, it was called Masjid.
It was still Masjid Toba at the time. Like I said, I was just coming down and listening to Arabic classes from Sheikh Suleiman Al-Yuni. We were listening to that together. And then the relationship grew. Alhamdulillah, we became best friends and close companions. And then, we started to do classes in the masjid. And then the issue of the code characteristics came up. And, alhamdulillah, we had some guts and the gumption to jump on that and do that. And that just started the snowball of just giving da'wah and teaching classes online.
No, alhamdulillah. For me, I've been involved in the da'wah here in the West for quite some time now, especially when I came back from overseas back in 2009. I was asked to come down and give some khutbahs at the Musalla Toba at that time. I asked some other brothers, and to fast forward, alhamdulillah, I got involved in the translation scene, started translating some books. But when I really got involved in the da'wah was when they invited me back down to Masjid Toba, and I started taking on the role of giving being a khatib, giving the khutbahs, and trust me, I was nervous. I didn't pretty much feel as though I was up to task. I still don't feel as though I'm up to task. So I was there, giving classes, doing my best, translating and stuff like that. And when I met the brother Isa, I heard of the brother Isa before, but when I finally met him, because he came down one time, and at that time when he came down, I didn't really embrace him that much because I really didn't have control of the masjid at that time. Mm-hmm. But when he came down the second time, we really got together, and I really just clicked with him, and I think he really understood the grittiness and the griminess that, from our backgrounds and what we dealt with and the type of people that we were dealing with. I believe that he was real good and real excellent when he got on the minbar. I remember I used to, encourage him to get on the minbar, and, he was a little nervous. Alhamdulillah, he did a real excellent job. We miss him down there at Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah. However, we're happy for him now. But anyway, so we was in the da'wah, we did books, and, we translated, we started dealing with other different brothers as well. Our brother Ali Davis came down, Abu Sajid, alhamdulillah, Muhammad Munir, those brothers came down. And we also contacted Somali, and I'm talking about myself now. We also contacted different other brothers. I dealt with them. But however, we didn't click. Those brothers didn't click too much with me. And it was, I always will respect them. I always speak highly of them, even inside the masjid. We did things with our brother Naeem Abu Abdullah. May Allah reward him and preserve him and protect him from all evil. Ameen. He was a tremendous help down there at the masjid. And a lot of our brother Nur Abdullah, can't forget him. He's tremendous help. Our brother Abu Nur Warasdeen, he was another tremendous help. So we did our first telelink with Abu Nur there at the masjid. So yeah, we was involved with the da'wah, alhamdulillah. Number 3, how did you get in the field of da'wah? And that pretty much answered the same question.
Yeah.
We'll tell you how we got into Philadelphia. We already mentioned that. So number 4, what's the future for the night shift?
Man.
What's the direction that the night shift will take?
You know, we both have to answer this. I think that at this point, obviously we don't live in the same state anymore, and obviously we have our own lives going in our own directions, but we're still together. I think the night shift has to now, I think, take on a not, I don't know if you say a public service platform, because really fighting culture was a public service. It was a public service, like dealing with drugs or dealing with any other ism or sickness that's in our community. I think we still have to do that, but I think that now, if we can, it has to be, we can use it to gather resources and gather people together and get some real material, some more things done materialistically. I mean, things done on a level where now we're kind of moving along and getting things done. I think that it can move around like we're doing in Atlanta. We're in Atlanta, Georgia right now, doing the night shift. I think it'd be nice to get around the country if it was all possible, to go to different places, find out what other positive people are doing, other Muslims are doing. You know what I'm saying? As far as the school, like right now, we're in a school right now. We're homeschooling. It's a Muslim homeschool with many students. The sister runs it. Actually, my wife, you know what I mean? She runs it. And she takes the kids come here. They go to school. It's a real school. But this may be happening in other places around the country. And I think that if we can get around other parts of the country and connect each other with each other through the night shift, could be a vehicle for that, where now resources can be passed around and group economics, group academics, and group social reform can happen. I mean, that's...
No. We always just seem like the community reporters. Like we pretty much connect with what's going on in the community and we try to bring it to the forefront. Some of the ideas that we did have for the night shift was like, we didn't know. We played around with the idea of making it into an actual podcast. We played around, toyed around with that idea. We also toyed around with some other ideas, taking our show on the road, as Brother Issa alluded to. And we were invited by a couple of our brothers in the UK, invited us to come down and do some interviews with them, like our brother Abu Osama and Dahabi. He invited us to come through. We have some brothers there in Canada who also invited us to come through by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala to do some things on the night shift. And one of the things that the night shift wanted to do, and maybe that, in the future we're planning on doing it, is going around to the different masajids, especially in the tri-state area, and showing the separatism that take place when you have a certain concept that's being pushed from a certain group or particular group, and seeing how regressive that particular masjid and the role that it plays in that community. And we see that it's a pattern within certain communities, especially even though they're predominantly black African Americans, but when they hold on to a certain concept, they are regressing more so than they are their fellow peers from amongst the foreigners, from amongst different other ethnicities. We see that they are actually behind as far as being advanced in terms of dealing with a lot of stuff, addressing social ills and things like that, or being active as, in community.
Exactly.
So, alhamdulillah, the future of the night shift, that's what we want to do. We want to focus on a lot of things that are taking place that people can't voice, that we can voice for them. Inshallah ta'ala, like I said, we're not scholars. You can refer to a lot of the brothers, alhamdulillah, or you can refer to the ulama actually directly if you can, or get the brothers that are here doing that service, that are more knowledgeable than us in terms of dealing with that. I wanted to mention something that our brother, Dr. Tahir Wyatt, Hafidhullah, he has started a group for the students, and no matter what level you might be on. I was actually shocked and surprised that he even invited me. And, I don't consider myself to be no talib or ilm, but he invite a get together in the morning on breakfast. They eat and then they pick a certain topic they're going to go over as a muzakara, a review amongst each other. And I find this very important for multiple reasons. One, because you know how long for someone, such as my background, learning Arabic by himself, having spent a little bit of time overseas, and trying to get with all of the brothers that knew Arabic here, that was in the field of the dawah, and they just closing up one door to another. You just don't got the exclusive club membership. But for someone like his caliber to come back and to reach out to someone like me or to someone like Ace, to someone, anyone, and just say, listen, let's get together and we all can't do this by ourselves. That shows something. That shows the love of that particular person. So I wanted to mention that because that's beautiful, Rocky. I mean, it's encouraging at the same time, and it shows that he's working towards that unity. It shows that he's working towards that unity, and that's what the Night Shift did when we did the groundbreaking interview with the Cross Bridge with our brothers down there in Philadelphia Masjid. I really liked that interview.
Yeah.
I liked that interview because it shows that the diversity. It shows that we can bring and bridge the gap. Yep. We're not saying that everything is 100%, but you won't know until you step out there. The next question is, have you seen the results since the Night Shift initiative? Well, if the audience got anything to put into that,
yeah.
I know a lot of people have seen some different results from the Night Shift.
I'm gonna say this. I didn't know how far the reach was. I mean, don't get me wrong. The brother Abu Ali used to tell us about different countries, people calling from different places, and telling them that a lot of people left it. A lot of people made Toba. People were happy that that this hierarchy was being challenged, and they were actually losing, not just challenged, but losing the battle. And they were being exposed and things like that. But the reach, how far the reach. When I got to Atlanta, when people were just coming from all over the place just to come visit me. If I was here, they were coming to visit me, and they were coming telling me how it changed them and how they were on the coke characteristics at first, and or how they were now able to have proof of evidence to defend and say, hey, no, you guys are wrong. This is not right. This is separating the Muslim ranks. This is causing division. I didn't know the extent, the effect that it had until you move around.
No.
And you start moving around, you notice how people, some people literally cried meeting me. And it's not that I'm great or anything, I'm just telling the effect that the Night Shift had. There's nothing, you know what I'm saying?
And that was just more so on the personal side of things, too. Like, we're not looking for fame or being a celebrity or anything like that. So
it was just the effect. I was amazed by it. I didn't never thought it. We didn't start it thinking that it was going to end up going all over the world and people was going to change and people was going to get benefit and people was going to do this. We never thought about it like that. We just seen a need and something that was going on for too long, and we stepped in and it did it. But like for all the people that's looking right now, you can answer the question more better so than we can because you're actually listening to us and you're out in the community all the time. And you got the different masajid and things like that. So I'm sure everybody that's on the ground level, like ourselves, you see some of the things that actually. We had people calling us deviants. Out of our names, but these same people apologize later. Yeah. So it was you definitely saw some change happen, and it was.
Well, far as me, I'm gonna say that the results that I saw from the Night Shift, just looking on first sight, first hand, it was a positive and it was a negative. And the reason why I'm saying that because I was someone at that time was currently residing over a masjid. I did see some numbers dwindle from a lot of people. I also seen some drawbacks from the negative. I seen people looking at me different ways. People that I was cool with who stopped, sending me and extending me the salams, even though they didn't look at the videos or even though they didn't understand. I had people come at me and say, "Why are you going after known callers?" I had a lot of speculations and stuff that showed a negative impact. I saw it firsthand, but I also heard of and witnessed the positive impact that it had, and that is because I believe that we can all have an open dialogue, no matter who you are and what station that you occupy. There should always be an open dialogue with your community members. And it should not allow you to think just because, you have reached a certain level or because you have a certain name or a certain status within the community, no one can dare challenge you. That's wrong. And I think that's what the Night Shift was showing the people. I think that was one of the impacts to show that, these guys, these particular brothers, they are brothers, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgive us and them. But you can't go around bullying people. You can't go around labeling people names and, and expelling people. You can't place whole masajids and masjids, especially when you're in a minority. You can't do those things and then, put some asars or some narrations over it and try to make it seem like this is what Salafiyya is. You can't, because there are other individuals who know what Salafiyya actually is, and they know that this is not what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions stood for. So it's you have to stand up toward that, and that's what I think that was positive about it. I think now people can feel comfortable now that when they hear someone speaking about somebody, they can feel comfortable enough to say, "What's the dalil?" I'm not going to accept it unless there's some hardcore evidence.
Yeah.
And that's what I see one of the positive results, that their effect for as word of mouth now doesn't have that potency that it used to have.
They can't spread those cold-cutted verses as far and as strong as they used to.
No,
you know what I mean, they can't. They just can't. I mean, I think another one of the negative things that happened. One of the negative things that happened. We're not. I mean, I got less welcome than I used to get in most places. I can't just walk into places now like I used to before the night shift and get salams, say hi to people, talk to people. You know, like you know, even down here, some masjid here, I really ain't welcome there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. I mean, I can pray in there and stuff, but
we still love our brothers.
Yeah,
man.
we do.
I don't want no one to get from the night shift that just because you're standing up to people bullying other individuals
that we don't love them,
that you don't love them or that you hate them, and that I don't like. I don't like people running around spreading wild accusations because we were brave enough to say something. That's like I don't believe that our brother Ali Davis hates Jamil Finch. I would never say that of our brother Ali Davis. I don't believe that Abu Sajid hates Jamil Finch. So we got to stop this stuff. Nor do I believe that our Sheikh Dr. Tahir Waya hate any of these brothers, or our Ustad Mufti Muhammad Munir hate any of these individuals. So we have to stop pinning people against people just because they are speaking out against certain things that are injustice and that is done wrong in Islam. Tayyib. The next question was, the audience wanted to know, do you have any lectures planned revolving around some of the topics covering during the course of the night shift? And to answer that question, I want to say yes, we did plan something. We contacted a lot of the brothers. Alhamdulillah, most of them agreed. From Thamarat, Ali Davis, Abu Sajid, they gave us their support. It's just trying to get the scheduling. Muhammad Munir, he agreed. We're still trying to book in Dr. Tahir Wyatt. Inshallah ta'ala, but he's extremely busy. Also, our brother Farouk Post, as Issa contact him. Our brother Hassan Ridha.
Down in Baltimore.
Down in Baltimore. Our brother Akil Ingram. A lot of them actually agreed to coming together to do something on like a one big night shift where we touch on different social current events that's facing our communities. And I think once we get everybody scheduling right, that's what we want to plan to do. And we was going to do it at the Philadelphia Masjid just to bridge the gap a little bit there. That's what we wanted to do, inshallah. So stay tuned for that in the future. We're still trying to bring that together.
Inshallah.
Another question was, some may say the community leaders have always dealt with social ills. Can you elaborate on what should be addressed more frequently on social ills?
I'm going to say this. By me coming up in the Salafi African American community, specifically Philadelphia, but at large, I never seen an organized dealing with these social ills that apply to the people of their community, which mostly are African American. I never seen it. The only social ill we've seen people dealing with is two, for the most part: shirk and bid'ah, which are social ills. But we're talking about the social ills that's only particular to their constituents in their masjid, because shirk and bid'ah is everybody's social ill, not just African Americans. So I didn't see specifically organized attack on specific social ills that exist in our community. Giving a khutbah on fornication is not dealing with the social ill itself, because or sometimes social ills are just brushed over. Sometimes it wasn't dealt with at all, and our brother's going to touch on that. But like I said, I don't want us to believe that because you read an ayat on the minbar that Allah said, "La taqrabu zina," that you're dealing with zina as a social ill. No, you're telling me that Allah told me not to do it. But now, how do you keep it from being the norm? I think that we missed that social ills just doesn't need a speech. It needs hard action. You need the sleeves to be rolled up and things need to be put in place so those social ills are lessened. And I'll give you an example. Now we're in America, so fornication and stuff like that is just the norm of the culture. But I'll give you an example. The community I live in now, it's a black upper middle class community. And they're African American. Do they have some of the cultural nuances of African Americans? Obviously, yeah. But there's no drug dealing on the corner. You don't hear the gunshots. You don't see the broken home syndrome. None of that stuff exists on a very low level in this community. These are African Americans. So with that being said, you have group economics. The businesses are owned by black people. And this, unfortunately, this is not the reality of most of our people. But in this little enclave right here, it's the reality of these people. So they produce. They're not producing people going to prison. They're not producing people getting murdered. They're not producing everybody's on drugs. They're not producing bad public schools. And so that goes to show you that those social ills that exist that are destroying our communities in Philadelphia don't exist in this one, because there are safeguards. People roll their sleeves up. Literally, it wasn't just speech. They just literally rolled their sleeves up and put safeguards in place to save them from certain social ills to take them over and destroy their community. So that's just my look on it. Maybe you can go.
No, to say that our leaders in different masajids and in different Salafi communities have not addressed or tackled the problem of social ills, one form or another, will be injustice. I can't say that never ever happened. So that will be a form of injustice. But what I can say and what I can bear witness to is that on a larger scale, on a more focused scale, this is something that we brush to the side, and I'm not going to say just deliberately, even though I might have my thoughts on that, but I'm going to say that we brushed it to the side by not tackling it wholeheartedly. We haven't addressed the issue of the reoccurrent door, that most of our members are coming to our masjid are ex-convicts, and they are either ending back up into the prison systems again. And that's something that we need to look at, and we need to come up with some type of challenging factors to help, prevent that from happening. And I think that's what Thamarat is doing down there, Imam Family Center. Mm-hmm. They're thinking of ways of trying to take preventive measures for people not to keep going back to that recurring door. Also, another thing that we see is the issue of marriages and divorces. Marriage and divorces, brothers and sisters, as me being a single brother myself, it's not easy, especially in a society where zina is more prevalent, even amongst those who are Muslims and been Muslims for years. Mm-hmm. The institution of marriage is something that is not really stressed. Yes, we talk about getting married. Yes, we talk about doing this. We talk about doing that. But what are the social programs that are put in play for marriage? Where are they in the Salafi communities? Where are those programs put together for being a proper woman? Where is the social programs put together being a proper man? Mm-hmm. Where are these things showing us how to come together and put family structure units,
and stuff like
the workshops that actually put things together?
Yep.
These things we don't see being focused on. Domestic violence. Domestic violence is another thing in the Salafi communities that is on the hush-hush. We don't see a lot of people addressing these issues, focusing on these issues. Trust me, women are abused and battered. Men even can be abused and battered. There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of harm that have taken place. Where's these groups? Where's these therapies? Where's these going out? And the problem is we are taught in the Salafi masajids, and most of them, and you can bear witness yourself, we are taught that to focus on these type of problems is to be ikhwani. It's to take an ikhwani approach to things. This is not, Aqidah, creed is what we should be worrying about because it's going to fix everything. That have a true statement to it, but it have also a practical side to it, because Allah Jalla wa Ala in the Quran tells us about not to deal in riba, to be just in weight. So we deal with things that affect the social society and how it ran. Yeah. So he dealt with social ills. So we can't say, yes, just having a proper Aqidah is going to stop you from it. Because many people who claim to go to the Salafi masajids in overabundance are still committing zina, waliyadu billah. They are still going back to jail, waliyadu billah. They are still robbing, waliyadu billah. They're still getting abundance of divorces. They're still not properly marrying right. They're not being properly
They believe Allah is above his throne.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They have correct Aqidah. Yeah. So we can't say that that this is just the only thing. So I think honestly, yes, brothers, the imams, the a'immas throughout the years, they did touch on certain things. And like Isa said, it can't just be stuck to a khutbah. You got to take in the same means that these kuffar and even our other brothers from the foreigners are taking it. You got to do workshops. There's nothing wrong from taking from the kuffar. If you see the kuffar doing something that doesn't go against Islam and it's actually working, it's a system that is effective, then what's wrong with you adopting that? There's nothing wrong with you adopting that. The Prophet ﷺ seen that the Jews did something that which they done, a practice that they practiced, and then he allowed the Muslims to do it.
I ask you this, right? Our grandparents stayed married 60 years, 50 years. How come we can't find out exactly how they stayed married and go to that social norm that was the norm then and try to figure out exactly what they were doing and what was present for them that kept them married. Or you got brothers in the community that's been married 40 years, 30 years. They're still married. I want you to have them do a workshop. Now, I'm talking about just do a workshop based upon his experiences. That he's just telling you about his everyday marriage life. He's telling you about, hey, we went through this. Me and my wife went through this. We've been through this part. We did this. How do we deal with it when it happened? So that way younger people can understand exactly how to be married. And now it doesn't mean every time somebody talks to you about marriage, he has to throw a hadith at you or ayat at you. He may tell you his experience. As long as his experience don't go outside the bounds of Quran and Sunnah, that is within that realm. And even if it did, he's telling you some mistakes or crimes he may have committed against his family or his spouse, whatever, and telling you this is how I got around it, this is how we dealt with it, whatever the case may be. And I think that the older brothers who have been married, who don't get married and divorced all the time, they need to take a more active role in grabbing these younger brothers and sisters by the hand and say, oh, you've been married 20 times, Aki. It's time to slow down. And I would like to ask Abu Zayd, maybe he can address this. Do you think the current fitna of division and separation and co-characteristics have an effect on our divorce and our marriages?
Absolutely. I believe that throughout the years, people can actually witness this. There were many brothers and sisters due to the positions that they took, and this happened even with kuffars on political stances, that when someone takes a political stance, you sometimes see a separation amongst the husband and wife, or amongst the, the different, and them they practice boyfriend and girlfriends. But for Muslims, if you go to a certain masjid and you listen to a certain da'i, you might find that that particular husband might listen to this da'i and take the stance of that da'i and let his wife go. I mean, there's cases where brothers had divorced their wife based off the advice that they was given from a certain imam or a certain group of people because of their stance that they took with those brothers. And this is something that is definitely hazard to any family, because they can have children together, they can have certain things. So I do believe that that does play. I remember, if anyone remember, Germantown at a time was marrying people off, and this was, I'm talking about around about Dawoodib days. He was marrying people off. It wasn't understood that, y'all have to have the same minhaj and the same akida to be married. That wasn't what was being pushed so much. Mm-hmm. Now, throughout the years later, you see that, no, they have to have the same minhaj, the same akida in order for them to be married. And don't ask a silly question right now and say, well, can we marry a Sufi, or are you talking about it's okay to marry this? I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm saying just think about it. Look how it changed. It went from worrying about two people getting together, actually getting married, having a sacred union, to now, we have to make sure, who do he take from? What position does he take? Yeah. And then this caused a drawback in the community. And that's what I see happening, inshallah ta'ala. So
and I don't think, he's not saying, when they say, do you have the same aqidah, same manhaj, I mean, are you with us? You know what I mean? Because if you sit me down, the brother Abu Zayd down, you sit one of them down, whether it's Hassan Ali, any of them down, and ask us Aikido points right now. If you ask them who alone has the right to be worshipped, they're going to say Allah. We're going to say Allah. If they ask them the principle of Sama wa ta'a, hearing obeying a Muslim leader, what is that? And we all get the same answer. If somebody asks us, do we fight bid'ah and its people, we all get the same answer. We all get the same exact answer. So what's the issue? So when they say it's about who's with them and who's not. So when they ask that question, it's not about if you're a Sufi or not.
No. So it says at the end of this question, is there any solutions in place? And I believe there is. I believe the solution always been there. First and foremost, the outward solution is Quran and Sunnah. Okay, Quran and Sunnah, the comprehension of the Salaf. Okay, and having qualified, experienced teachers that can deal and tackle with these issues, even if they're experienced in, the secular thing, and they have experience with that, then we need to embrace them. I also believe that one of the solution is actually coming together. The separatism is not helping us in any community forum, so we need to come together and strengthen one another, like we were telling you earlier, what Dr. Tahir was trying to do, and get together and pull on different strengths that we might have to tackle and address these issues. Stop acting like marital affairs is not a big problem. It's a big problem in the Salafi community, and it's embarrassing. It is really embarrassing that we have people getting married and getting divorced, married and getting divorced, married and getting divorced. And the reason why is there's nothing solid. There is nothing, laying down why they're getting divorced. This. That stuff has to stop. It has to stop. And we have to put, some certain guidelines or certain measuring things to come in to stop that type of stuff. So there are many solutions in play. The next question is, if we want to be a part, and this is a real important question, I hope our brother Issa can elaborate. If we want to be a part of a Salafi community, but we find separatism in the known masjid for Salafiyah, what should we do to prevent ourselves from falling into separating from the Muslim body? Is separate, that goes into our next question, is separatism the safe approach, as the majority of the masjids do not ascribe to Salafiyah? So it's a two-part question.
Well, before I say that, I'm gonna say what when he said any solution, I'm gonna say this: drop your bread on the ground, people. Before we go into that, if you really want to see some different change too, economically, we gotta start putting money down as a group of people. We gotta start putting money down, because we don't have no problem spending it up in Starbucks. We don't have no problem. Black Panther made like $800 million or something like that off us, man. I'm saying at the end of the day, that same $800 million, we will never drop that in our own communities. I'm just bringing a point. All I'm saying, and I'm just talking about the black people in general, but specifically the African American Muslims, start putting some money down, y'all. Find a way where you can set up a PayPal, you can set up bank accounts where the safeguards so nobody can't steal the money. I don't know how we do it. Start dropping money, and those things can get done. But anyway, and we find, look, I'm be honest with you. If you're in a masjid and there's a bunch of cliques and stuff going on inside the masjid, we're not even talking about, before we get to the fact that it's like 8 different masjids all saying they Salafi, don't let them talk to each other. I'm talking about inside of the same masjid. All right. The best thing I would do, my opinion is that what I used to do, I would just stay out of it. I'm very good at being neutral for the most part. So, I usually take the position of, okay, I'm listening to everybody, and I rarely say anything, not unless I have to. Like a night shift, that we had to say something at that point. But if you're inside the same masjid, and you see that it's an issue of fitna, and it's personal, and it's a power grab, and it's power struggle, it has nothing to do with religion and manhaj, the best thing to do is kind of like don't take sides and try to advise both sides in that particular situation. As far as separatism, is it that way you just stay away from everybody and things like that? No, you could not take sides and still be involved with everybody. You don't see, our problem is we come from the type of environment where if he beefing with a brother, but I'm still cool with him, that brother he beefing with, he down with him. So I can't even be cool with him anymore because I'm cool with him. That's that Negro stuff.
That's that Hizbiyah stuff.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we got that stuff straight from the streets. You can't, listen, man, you can't, how you cool with Bull, you can't be cool with me. What are you talking about? I ain't got a problem with either one of y'all. So we bring that same mentality into Islam. So if I'm not going to leave him alone, okay, I can't be cool with you, even though I don't got beef with neither one of you. No personal problem, no bad business deals, nothing. It's sad, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, the first part of this question I want to address, number one, when you say you want to be a part of a Salafi community, you have to first understand what is Salafiyah. Mm-hmm. Who is the Salaf and what is Salafiyah? Once you understand their characteristics, their principles, the qawaid and things like that, then this is going to help you answer and make a better judgment when you involve yourself in any community. Yep. If you want to be a part of a Salafi community, know what Salafiyah is. That's going to answer half of the problem, okay? Now, my second thing is, if you find separatism in that no masjid for Salafiyah, then number one, that's because either principles of true Salafiyah is not being applied, and because that is not being applied, this is why you see the separation, and the shaitan plays off of that, because of there's some lack of information that's being there. So you have to ask yourself, okay, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, when I first read this question, that's what I thought of his statement. He said, you can be upon the truth even if you won. Mm-hmm. Meaning you can be the jama'ah even if you won. Even if you're one person. If everyone is astray and you're the only one upon the haqq, you can be the jama'ah. Right? Because you have to think about it. If you got a group of people saying that outwardly they adhere to the qawaid and the principles of Salafiyah, but they are actually separated, and we know that Salafiyah actually unites and doesn't separate, something is wrong. Now we have to look at the claimant. What is his claim? Is he really sticking to that? And that's why it's important to learn what Salafiyah truly is. And that's why a lot of people are really confused, and this type of question really pertains to them because they really don't know what Salafiyah is. They know who Hassan Mali is. They might know who this particular brother is. They might know Abu Hassan Malik. They might know these different da'is. They might know Sheikh Rabia name. They might know this and that. And they think that this is Salafiyah. Just these names and just whatever position they take. That isn't Salafiyah.
So you're saying if a person understands the question you said, they understand what Salafiyah and what are the manhaj of the Salaf. If they understood that, then they can probably go into any masjid and really kind of basically see whether or not those people are practicing the sunnah or not.
No, this is what all the ulama have explained from amongst them, Sheikh Taymiyyah and current. Yeah. But back then, you had Sheikh Islam and Taymiyyah. All of this guy, even Ahmed. Don't take just from us, take from where we sip from. Imam Al-Awza'i. Exactly. All of them told you. So you have to have some type of knowledge of what you're following. Allah tells you in the Quran, do not follow nothing you have no knowledge of.
Exactly.
So, at that point, you should safeguard yourself enough to say, this is Salafiyah. I learned what Salafiyah is so that you can recognize those principles and you can know when someone is not adhering to them or going against them.
Exactly.
And you be able to make your judgment from that point. What should we do to prevent ourselves from falling into separating from the Muslim body? I just mentioned it. That's one of the things you can do. Arm yourself with knowledge, brother or sister. Arm yourself with the correct and sound knowledge and take from the correct and sound people. And when I say that, I don't mean I'm thinking of a group of people. I'm not saying don't take from Somali. When I say take from the sound and correct people, the sound and correct people have many levels. And the first of them, if you can, you should take from the ulama directly. And this was the opinion of Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidhullah, that you should take from them directly, if you can. And if you can't, then alhamdulillah, you're going to take from those strong students of knowledge that are trustworthy and that are up here and upholding those principles and stuff like that. And that's how it goes with those type of levels where you take knowledge. It said here, is separatism the safe approach? Okay.
Explanation.
Is separatism the safe approach? Is it okay to separate from the Muslim body? To answer that question, I'll tell you no. It is not okay to separate from the Muslim body. Outwardly. Okay? Would there become circumstances where cleansing to your house and cleansing and sticking to yourself? Yes, there are narrations like that where the fitna would be too much. And there are certain incidents that took place amongst the Sahabas where they stayed out of the fitna altogether. Yes.
Exactly. In the hadith probably said there's a time when a person gonna go to the mountain with his flock.
No.
He gonna leave and go to the mountain. That's where the safest place for him is to get up and go, take his product, his family, and just get out this way.
And then you got the hadith of Hudayfa. Stay like that until you die. Until death reaches you.
Like a situation from where the government is collapsing, people are rebelling against the government. Our stance is Ahlul Sunnah is that we don't get involved in it. That we back out, we stick to our homes.
So that's those issues. But in reality, and just the gist to sum up things, you do not want to separate from the Muslims.
No.
Wallahi, if you live in a kuffar land, you're already the minority. And you're already the lone sheep. So you're only going to be protected by sticking around those other sheep that, might help ward off in numbers that wolf.
Exactly.
But if you allow yourself to be alone, especially out here, then you're going to be, you're going to be devoured. So I wouldn't tell you no to separate. Separating is not the safe approach. But I know the question might arise, it might come up, okay, well, if I take from this particular brothers, they look at me some type of way, even though they don't say it, if I take from these other individuals. This is something you have to come in terms with yourself. You have to stand up. And this is what the Haqq does. The Haqq give you bravery. Mm-hmm. If you don't see it with Musa and Harun, Allah Jalla wa'ala said what? He told them to go. For Rally, what? I see you, wa asma wa ara. Rally, I see you. I'm with both of you with hearing and seeing. And Musa alayhi salam was afraid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said he left in fright. Mm-hmm. But he stood up because he had the Haqq. Anytime you have the Haqq, which will give you that amount of energy.
And the man that came Aqsa al-Madinah, yes.
Exactly, from the farthest part of the region. So you got to be strong, So what is I'm saying this for? Why is I'm bringing this up? Because you have to be strong enough to say, if a brother is teaching you and you like the way his delivery is and you think that he's, calling to that which is correct based on the knowledge that you have, then you can take from that person. And if that person is telling you not to take from so-and-so and he have the same information and you like him as well, then you have to say, excuse me, brother, what is your dalil for that? A brother came to me, a brother I know. I'm not going to mention his name. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward him and increase him in knowledge. He's really, I really consider him to be a student of knowledge. And he met me in a masjid. He was in Masjid Aqsa. And he asked me about Muhammad Munir. And he said, Muhammad Munir and Tahir, actually. He said something about, I said, as for Tahir, I don't really know him personally because I haven't spoke to him as much as I do Muhammad Munir. But I said, my relationship with Muhammad Munir is strictly knowledge. And he told me, brother, if I was you, I would stay away from both of them. And I looked him right in his face, and I love this brother. I said, brother, you're going to have to bring some dalil. You're going to have to bring me some evidence that why I cannot take from either one of them. And he looked at me and smiled, and he said, the next time I see you, I will bring that evidence. But he couldn't say nothing. He really couldn't say too much because you can't just say anything. We can't just follow anything that's being said. No, you have to step up and man up. Listen, no, I'm not following that. You have to tell me what it is, why I can't listen to him. And if it's not bid'ah, and we thank our brother Ali Davis for this, if it's not bid'ah mukaffara, and stuff like that to take you out the fold of Islam, I still can't listen to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, is it something that's ikhtilaf amongst the ulama and the salaf about? And if it is, you can't put it in the realm of being a bid'ah. Especially if it's not clear. And it's the lid on both sides.
That's why it's important. The separation is coming from lack of knowledge, from ignorance, and from clicking on to different sects and groups and personalities, and not from knowing what Salafiyya is. It's impossible for a person to truly know what Salafiyya is. Like, look, for example, I'll give you an example. All the scholars in different parts of the world, whether it be in Saudi Arabia, whether it be in Egypt, whether it be in Morocco, whether they be in Sudan, whether they be in the African countries, whether they be in Yemen, all of them that adhere to the Quran and the Sunnah Fahm Salaf, they all are united. Even if they are not together in the same way. They're all united. Why? Because all of them are holding to the same principles.
And they differ amongst themselves on issues.
And they don't say, I'm going to warn from you if you take from this or you take from that. We have to look at that. We have to look at that. This is why Sheikh Fawzan felt comfortable going to go visit Eid al-Qarni. What you going to say about him visiting Eid al-Qarni?
Yeah, what you going to say?
What you going to say? He felt comfortable doing that.
When what's his name, in Egypt, Al-Ruhaini, Abu Ishaq, got sick, the scholars of the Sunnah went and visited him, made dua for him openly.
I mean, this is what their deen.
And called him a scholar.
And these are the people we take from. This is what their knowledge have led them. You have to be assured in your knowledge. You have to be firm. You got to look over your shoulder. I'm listening to Shadeed Muhammad. What are you looking over your shoulder for?
You know your shoulder for? First of all, you're a grown man. And then, man up. And then on top of that, where's the dalil that there's something wrong listening to the brother? Where's your dalil? I need dalil.
And a scholar statement like Sheikh Fawzan said himself isn't dalil. A scholar statement isn't dalil.
No. I need dalil.
I need Allah said and this messenger said.
And I need you to take the brother's statement and put it up against what Allah and his messenger said, and then we can deal with it from there. If you can't do that, you can't give me because Sheikh Falan said don't take from him. That's not a hujjah in Islam.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to take that from you.
Nope, I don't have to.
Let's move on to the next thing. So I'm not going to take that from you. And Matter of fact, just stick to translating the book. And
I'll give you an example, right? From my personal example, just down here in Atlanta where this fitna is too. It's one place where your Salafi is based on that one place. I get down here, the masjid closer to me is our Sunnis. It's mainly like Pakistani brothers, Somalian brothers, and stuff like that. That's the closest masjid to me. I go there for Jum'ah and things like that. And when I'm out and about, I may stop and pray there and things like that. And I was told that the brothers got issues, And me, I'm like, okay, what's the issue? Still haven't been made clear to me what's the issue yet, and nothing like that. So now I've been going here to this masjid. Okay, so I've been, going to this masjid. Now, I've been told they offer the Aqidah Masjid. Now I'm going to the khutbah. Now, every khutbah I've been here, every khutbah is by Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Bin Baz, Sheikh Salih Fawzan. Every khutbah, all the brother does is get up there with a paper in his hand from one of the ulama, or the kibar ulama, either passed away or alive, reading about Tawbah, about Taqwa, about what's Tawheed, about what's the Sunnah, about how your deeds are accepted. I've never seen him talk about anything else. The issue came up about protesting and revolution and stuff like that. He said it's haram shar'an. So I'm trying to figure out what's the issue with the brothers. Okay, what's the manhaj issue? No, it's personal. Something happened between them and another group of brothers, and the brothers broke off, started their own masjid. Now they tell everybody off it. So what I'm saying to you, you gotta be men and ask questions, like I did. Where's your dalil that these brothers not on the sunnah? And that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go to that masjid and find out on my own, because I feel safe enough that I understand basic understanding of what Salafi is. I know what it looks like and what it sounds like. And if it doesn't sound like what I learned from my scholars, when I learned from Sheikh Mahmoud and Sheikh Muqsin and Sheikh Raslam, when I heard from them, I was in Egypt. If it doesn't sound like what I heard from Sheikh Fawzan, what I've seen in the books, if it doesn't sound like that, I have a criterion about what Salafiyya is. I'm going to weigh it to that. Not till you telling me they off it.
Not till you tell me they off it. No.
No, I'm not weighing it to that.
No, alhamdulillah. As the majority of masters do not ascribe to Salafiyya, and this is an important part of the last question. If we really truly understood this reality, that majority of the masajids in our own hometown isn't, outwardly upon the da'wah to Salafiyya, that let us know how small we really are.
Mm-hmm.
So why in the world are we separated? That's something that we have to think. Why are we separated? If we are that minute and that small, we need each other.
Yep.
At this point, we can't break off from each other and say, you go your way, I go my way. We can't do that. And I'm going to tell you what happened when that happens. A lot of the community is poor from different ways. Why? Because you start and go over here and start a new project. Now we got to lend money towards your project that never get finished or completed, because we're lending money still to this old project that never got done or completed or is almost there. Then we lending money towards this project. And, all we doing is taking our resources and we're pulling from the same plethora of people, and, we're just doing it like that, and we're not getting nothing done. Instead of just saying, you know what, let's just come together and work. I'm not talking about no Ikhwani principles here. I'm talking about truly, come together and say, listen, we can do this. And that's when you have to look at the crux. When you see a group of people avoiding something that is so clear in basics to either growing or progressing in any community, you have to see what's going on with that. What's the reason why that is that? It can't be Salafiyya, because what we learned from Salafiyya, it didn't divide them.
No, it didn't.
So we know it can't be Salafiyya. So what is it then? What are we actually truly following? So these are things that you have to ask yourself. I do not hate none of the brothers from Germantown, from Masjid bin Baz. Wallahi, I'm stating it again. I do not hate none of them. But one thing I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to follow anyone who doesn't have dalil and who doesn't have the community best interests have their best interests at heart. Why? What do I mean by that? Meaning that you want your community to flourish. How are they going to flourish if all you doing is sitting around teaching them bid'ah, stay away from that person, he's unclear, stay away from that person, this, that? That's not growing nothing. That's not, that's not making us productive. So any masjid that you find that adhere to the da'wah to Salafiyya, make sure that it's truly adhering to the da'wah to Salafiyya. And you don't have to worry about separatism, because you're going to click with the people that are clicking to that which is true. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have a masjid, like Isa said, and this is another point, if you have a masjid that you live to that's a foreign masjid, it doesn't mean because a masjid is predominantly occupied by foreigners that they are upon bid'ah. That don't normally always mean that. Now, there might be some things in there that certain people might have, but you have to investigate that. Mm-hmm. And at the very least, you still can pray there.
At the very least, you still pray in the masjid.
And then on top of that, that masjid, if it's closer to you in proximity, have a more haq on you than you go somewhere else.
Yeah,
I'm talking about in terms of prayer now. I'm talking about in terms of prayer now. I'm not talking about in terms of durus.
Yeah.
You can go and travel somewhere else for durus, classes and things like that. But I'm saying in terms of prayer, you have to go to that masjid if you have obligatory for you to pray. I live by Aqsa. I lived on 6th Street, and I prayed in Aqsa. Why? Because it was the closest masjid to me. It had a haq over.
Exactly.
I can't sit there and say I'm going all the way up Germantown. I'm going all the way up Mukbel. Sometimes I didn't even have the car fare.
That's what I'm saying.
And we have to get past that. And we don't see it, but really that is clickism. That's hizbiyah. We're not seeing it, but that's what it is. And we are to blame for that. Because, yes, we love the personalities. We love different brothers that we have in front of us. Man, the brothers give good, powerful talks. They give good khutbahs. They give good classes, have good delivery. We love them. But we also have to check them. And that's something that we have to do, and we can't be afraid to do that. The last question that was asked to us, I think my brother Isa might touch this, was the movie Black Panther, right? Somebody asked this question, believe it or not. The movie Black Panther pushed the idea of Pan-Africanism. Is this a way of addressing the injustice in the black or inner city community?
I mean, number one, I don't want our people being so thirsty for a savior that we have to find one in a fictional character. But to answer the question, man, anything that's not revelation from Allah, didn't come from the heavens to Jibril took it to the Prophet ﷺ, and what became to the messengers before him as far as Aqidah and the belief, and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is our messenger. If it's not in that revelation, that wahi that came down, it can't be the way forward. Let's just start from there. It just can't be the way forward. Pan-Africanism as an ideology is basically saying that all black people across the earth, whether they are separated from Africa, meaning physically not in Africa, it's all have a shared culture, slavery, oppression, and things like that kind of bonds us all together. That may have some truth, though. No doubt about it. Our lineages go back to Africa, and we had to go through some of the same things that most people that look like us are going through in the world. There's no question. And they say uplift everybody of our same color and academically and things like that. That has some truth to it. But the problem with it is, though, it's very difficult to be a Pan-Africanist and not to end up being a nationalist. Because what happens is that if your idea is always about your people and it never branches out, because Islam balances you out. Islam basically teaches you that everybody's level is based on iman and taqwa. That everybody in front of Allah is going to be dealt with based upon their actions and deeds in this life, not upon their color or tribe. So we have that balance. But if you think that you're going to be a Pan-Africanist, firstly, there's no way not to fall into it. I've talked to a few of them in my life, maybe 2 or 3 of them in my life. I've never talked to one that didn't believe that black people are better than white people. I'm talking about DNA-wise. I'm talking about just being superior. That ideology, that way of thinking is not permissible in Islam. So to think like that, that can't be the way forward, because all that's going to do is cause more separating on the tribes of the world. And it's going to cause more wars. Because if you think that you're more superior, you're going to believe you have the right to rule them. And once you have the thought you have the right to rule them, you're going to now try to take their authority from them by force and invade their lands, just like the imperialist Americans are doing to the Middle East. They're invading those lands because they believe that they're superior to everybody, that they have the right to rule over everybody. So that's going to cause you to invade other lands, cause you to commit atrocities and things of that nature. So if now is some of it amongst some of it that's inside of Pan-Africanists, can we use it? Maybe. I mean, group economics, having tribal self-esteem, believing that, I'm African American, so I can be proud of that. All that type of stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we could use that, but we got to be careful, because the Sahaba, during the time of the Prophet Islam, they fell into that tribalism, and the Prophet was standing right there. It's O Muhajirun, O Ansar. They were calling each other 80 one another. The Prophet said, you're going to call the call of ignorance? And while I'm still here? If that could happen to the best people of mankind after the prophets and messengers, the Prophet had to correct them, then how are we with hearts more sick, worse, in a worse environment, a worse situation, how are we going to think we're going to tread that thin line and not go into nationalism? No. So we got to be careful. So if you want to address the issues in the inner city, then one of the ways forward is, guess what? Get out the masjids. Get out of the masjids and start showing the African American people that we have the answer. We can't just keep coming to people with a pamphlet. We got to have real stuff in place. Social centers. We got to own property. We got to own the stores in the community. The black people got to come outside and see the Muslims. We the ones that own the neighborhood. We're the ones that have the schools. We're the ones that have the business. We're hiring and firing them. No. You want us? That's the way forward. Not talking about let's go back to Africa. That's not the way forward. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, we're in America. There's no going back to Africa. That's a dream. We're in America, so, you know what I mean, then don't sell yourself short. So a lot of you were already here when they got here. So you're walking on your own property anyway. So at the end of the day, you're in a situation where, okay, I'm about the justice and thing, but let's start being just to ourselves, so those other people outside can start respecting us. No. At the end of the day, how are you going to respect us? We don't respect our mothers. We don't respect our women. We don't respect our children. We don't respect ourselves. We don't respect our property. We stand in front and sell drugs. We shoot up things up. And then don't give me the issue with, we can't blame for that. No, listen, you're right. You're right. We cannot. It's a difference between blame and responsibility. No, I can't blame us for being in a predicament that we're in, because we didn't choose. We didn't wake up one morning and say, hey, let's just be in the ghetto and be oppressed. No, somebody oppressed us. And somebody put us in this particular situation. But at the end of the day, we want respect. Let's be respect. Let's show respect. Because at the end of the day, this European that you keep saying is oppressing us, he's never going to take us seriously. You know why? What do we have? We can't come sit at the table. Every time we come to the table, we're begging. Every time we come to the table, we're asking. So at the end of the day, how's going to take us seriously? But we come to that table with economics and academics and political pull and power, and we come to that table and we put down that piece of paper on that table, guess what he's going to do, whether he hates us or not? Guess what he's going to do? He's going to pull that chair up to the table. You know why? Because now he can benefit from us. Right now, he's just giving us. Every time we open our mouths, he just give us a new treat and a new welfare thing and a new card and now boxes of food and a new housing program. So at the end of the day, how they going to take us seriously? No. So, that's just my take on it.
So as far as the Pan-Africanism, I think our brother actually, elaborated very well and excellent. And he also mentioned something very important. Notice how none of the prophets and none of the messengers was ever called to focus on tribalism and to focus on nationality and ethnicity. I mean, they might have been sent to their own people, but they wasn't focused on that. That wasn't their call. And especially Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Allah Jalla wa Ala said, indeed we have sent you and made you a Rasulullah to everyone, to all of mankind, and even the jinns. So that has been excluded for those followers of Muhammad, that they cannot, restrict it to that, because there is no, like Isa said, there is no balance in that. If you call to ethnicity, if you call to, your own tribe, your own race, there is no balance in that. So Allah knew that, and he's Al-Alim, he's the all-knower. He knew that, so that he didn't allow that to be the focal point. He allowed what to be the focal point what will unite us was the fact that he gave us the Quran and he gave us the Sunnah. He knew that this would be the focal point in getting us together. Now, Pan-Africanism is a way of saying that if we all share in the, in the African descent, then we should all come together collectively and try to strengthen ourselves, whether it's economically, whether it's politically, whether it's socially, and we should use the fact that our backgrounds are pretty much might be similar as far as our
shared history and stuff like that.
Shared history as far as the Atlantic slave trade. That have nothing to do with Islam, brothers and sisters. You don't have to look outside of the Quran and the Sunnah for solutions. Nor do you have to look inside a comic book for solutions. If you want to take any character as a superhero, then you want to start by taking the characters that we are obligated to follow, and that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to take him as your superhero. You want to take him as your role model. You want to take him as your example. Why? Because Allah Jalla wa Ala is pleased with him. Comic books and things like that, Allah never gave us the affirmative that He is pleased with any of those things. But He definitely gave us the affirmative that He is pleased with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is pleased with the companions with one Allah Ta'ala alayhim. So these are the people that we tell our children to look up to. These are the people that we ourselves to try to emulate. And these things like that. So that's one thing. As far as addressing injustice, injustice on any level, like we talked about before, at any level is prohibited in Islam. Actually, in Surah Baqarah, Allah mentioned twice that oppression is worse than, murder. Than slaughter. So the fitna to ashaddu min al-qatl is worse than slaughter. So we know that oppression definitely is something that is looked down, even to the point that Allah Jalla wa Ala have not placed a screen between, even if you be a disbeliever or whatever, between the humble itself and the one that's being oppressed.
Exactly. Authentic hadith.
We know these things. So we can't use that and say, okay, we're going to use the black card. But this is the problem with a lot of people that profess Islam. They turn a blind eye. They act like as if they're colorblind. They act like if there's not real problems within the African American community. No one, can deny that.
No, they can't.
History bore witness to that. So there's nothing wrong with us identifying with those things, as long as they don't go against Islam, and as long as we keep what we're supposed to keep at the forefront.
Exactly.
So there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, we need to come together. As far as the inner city community, we have the answer. We need to pull our resources together, and I don't think it should be based off of African descent.
No.
We need to pull our resources together, period. And we need to use the Quran and the Sunnah as the guide base by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and allow that to be the case. But Isa did a real good job in answering that question, and addressing that, because Pan-Africanism is not what Islam teaches us. It doesn't.
Yeah, and the inner city thing is this. We want to uplift everybody in the inner city. The inner city in the north, for example. The inner cities in the north, not just black people in the inner cities. They're Hispanic Puerto Ricans in those inner cities. There are poor Irish people in those inner cities too. So when you say lift up the inner city, they live there too. So we're just going to skip past them and uplift only the blacks that live there? No, we're going to lift up everybody has to go through the same tragedies in those communities if we can. If we're there, the Hispanic non-Muslims, the Irish non-Muslims, the black non-Muslims, they all going to get the right to our dawah and our aid and our assistance.
No. So alhamdulillah, these the question that were posed to us throughout the whole talk. I don't know if any you have any questions that y'all want to pose to the night shift, the hosts of the night shift, inshallah ta'ala, on some of the things that you think that we might can answer since we start and embarked upon this project. But I think that these were some fair questions.
They were.
And we try to answer them to the best of our ability by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the people or the hosts of the night shift to be sincere in their approach, sincere in their calling, and sincere, seeking His face and His face only, not to be not fame and things like that. Also, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mend the fences between those who truly, claim to adhere to the Dawah to Salafiyah. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to unite our hearts upon that which is correct and to have love for one another and not to, go against one another and stop this bickering, So I think that's pretty much. Also, we ask that Allah Jalla wa Ala allow our children to become better than what we were and what we put forth. To become, better than what we put forth, inshallah ta'ala. So that maybe they can help, the generations to come and also right some of the wrongs that their forefathers have put forth, because we made a muck of a lot of things, and that's because the shaitan that dangled and, from jinn amongst men did a lot of things, inshallah ta'ala. So again, brothers and sisters, if you can get one thing from the night shift, I want you to get one thing. If you didn't take anything from the night shift, I want you to take something from the night shift. And that is, inshallah ta'ala, be your own person. Study your religion. Study your religion. Do not allow anyone or anything or any place determine whether or not what you are upon. Okay? Do not allow anyone or any place or anything determine what you are upon. Learn your religion, inshallah.
Barakallah.
Got any parting words, East?
At the end of the day, man, let's make dua that we were sincere, that Allah give us this reward, and all those who were the interviewers and all those who came on, the interviewees and those who aided the night shift to move along, whether it was Mufti, whether it was Shadid, whether it was Abu Sajid, Ali Davis, Sheikh Saud down there in North Carolina. Al-Kashim, may Allah bless the brother. Naeem Abdullah. All the brothers that aided us, man, and things like that. Abdul Haq Baker that came on. Abu Aliyah. You know what I'm saying? Hassan Abdul Rahman, our brother in Egypt right now. So, everybody that was a part of the whole movement and the whole thing, may Allah bless them. And like I said, a brother said, he said it better than me, just be men about it. Nobody can tell you that you have to go to a particular place, bring a particular brothers to be Salafi. Salafi, you can be Salafi on the top of a mountain. So at the end of the day, be a man, be a woman, ask questions, and don't let nobody bully you and push you around.
No, as far as more interviews, inshallah ta'ala, we would like to have more interviews in the future. Like I said, if we ever can set it up, we will have it. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll try to broaden our scope some more to make some dua for us. We do got some brothers investing in getting us a camera. Like we said, we playing around and touring with the podcast. For a lot of you brothers or sisters that will be willing to join in with us with the podcast, please, inshallah ta'ala, you can drop a comment, you can put a thumbs up if you be, willing to, deal with us on a podcast level for the night shift, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, or if you have anybody who's dealing with education, who has degrees in psychology, anything like that, and you know of them, then, try to connect us so we can have them on and talk about issues and things like somebody who has experience in those issues. And we're just trying to broaden our experience. So whoever you have made somebody, we can get in contact with them, they can contact with us. Inshallah, we can go from there.
Ameen. Yes, we should deal with the topic of marriage. And inshallah ta'ala, me and my co-host going to put some things together. And hopefully we can get some experienced, qualified other individuals that we can interview and touch and address on the issues of marriage. Jazakallah khairan, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Night shift in Atlanta.